we have this power with our thoughts and our emotions to shape reality and to shape what we are experiencing in the external world. The thought pattern that says it's really hard to come by is going to have you be subconsciously attracted to people who expect you to work really hard for very little pay, to situations like kind of jobs that are structured for you to do that. You're gonna be subconsciously magnetized and attracted by things that are vibrating at a similar frequency as this belief system that we're going to call in today, just for the sake of language, we're going to call it a limiting belief system. Or what you're going to do is you're going to attract a situation where you're getting reaffirmed that you're not worth seeing. Or perhaps the situations, the thing is working really well, but you yourself cannot see beyond the lens of your own perception of reality. And so now you're going to be judging yourself and thinking something doesn't work, even though it actually is working.
Welcome to It's Not What You Think, the podcast that takes you on a transformative journey to rewrite your story of greatness and reawaken your soul's purpose. I'm your host, Celine DaCosta, a subconscious mind expert, master coach, and believer in the limitless power and magic that lives within all of us. My intention in this podcast is to propel you into your next level of success so that you are free to create the life that your heart most desires. Through deep, actionable insights, personal stories, and world-class guests, I'll provide you with the tools, strategies, and resources you need to unlock the fullest expression of who you're meant to be in this lifetime so that you can consciously design a reality that is beyond what you could have ever dreamed of. Join me on this journey to personal growth and evolution, and let's live our lives in accordance with our highest soul's calling. This podcast is your weekly check-in to help this path become more simple, obtainable, and fun. Thank you for tuning in today, and now let's dive in.
Hello, soul family, and welcome to today's episode, which is going to be all about energy and strategy. So one of the things that comes up a lot in both the field that I work in and the spiritual community and just this new age era that we are in is this concept of energy, which I both love as well as sometimes feel challenged by, because I'm a very big fan of clarity. And one of the things that I believe differentiates me in my work, as well as just helps me human really good, really well, is this attention and sensitivity that I've had since I was very young to the importance of translating ethereal concepts and theories into tangibility, into action that lives in the 3D world. And when we talk about manifestation, which is a topic that I'm going to save for an entirely other episode. But when we talk about manifestation is the ability to take something that is a vision, an idea that is non-tangible, it is in the field, and to be able to actualize it into reality, into physical reality, into a materialization that we can touch, we can feel, we can see, right? And so there's been, when I live, full disclosure, I live part-time in Bali, and Bali is a place in the planet with a very strong spiritual community, which I absolutely love. And there's also many moments where I'm like, oh, this is interesting, where I'm witnessing people's behavioral patterns on a collective level, and I'm witnessing basically the effect that certain ideologies and ways of thinking and schools of thinking have on people. And one of the things that I've observed is just the amount of, look, I'm just going to be direct. I'm just going to give it to you straight. The amount of fluffiness and ambiguity and vagueness that comes with talking about energy work, that comes with talking about spirituality, manifestation, creating the life that you desire into reality. And as somebody who grew up deeply ingrained in the matrix. And, it's one of the things that I'm very grateful for, actually, is how much, it sounds weird to say this, but I'm actually quite grateful for how much conditioning I have had when I was younger, and the amount of, let's just say, like, indoctrination that I've had on a societal level, because doing the work to clean that up in the past few years, I believe, has equipped me to really truly understand what it means to identify and release and let go of a lot of conditioning, and what it looks like to and feels like to liberate and free yourself from that. Because, I have, for example, mentors who didn't grow up in the matrix, didn't grow up as indoctrinated, and so it was much easier for them to access these elevated levels of thinking and being that I'm still working towards. But all that being said, is being somebody who comes from a very logical, critical thinking, questioning everything, very mentally driven background, when I started to interface with the spiritual community, I started to notice a lot of discrepancies in things like just not making sense. And some of those things, it's like, okay, they don't need to make sense, because you got to feel it, and that's all well and good. But some things need to make sense, especially when it comes to business. And so today's episode is really centered on this concept of business energetics and business strategy, and how they weave together to create an effective, thriving, what you could say, a conscious, thriving, profitable business. How do you do that when you self-identify as a light worker or a healer, or, a conscious entrepreneur who is looking to create a business that is going to make a significant impact on the world, that is going to, up-level human consciousness, that's going to support humanity, to put it bluntly. And so when we're doing that, it's really important for us to look at the energetics of our business and how we're navigating it, and then how do we translate the energy into a tangible strategy that will actualize our goals and desires and ideas into reality, whether that looks like a tangible product that you're producing, whether it looks like a literal offer that you're designing and signing on a client for, whether it looks like a campaign that you're launching. There's many different ways that it can translate, whether it looks like a certain amount of income that you're calling into your business every year. So yeah, let's dive in. And it's really funny, because as I'm speaking this out loud to you, the listener, there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, I'm talking about energetics and I'm talking about being fluffy. Am I being fluffy? And I just want to call that out, because you know what? There might be times where I am being fluffy, and I'm gonna be kind to myself with that one. But I'm gonna do my very, very best to hold and honor the intention of this episode, which is to demystify what this energetics talk is, and to be able to clarify, how do you take energy and turn it into strategy. So, all that being said, I'm going to explain this imperfectly, okay? And that's okay, because as I go on and explain it again and again and again, I'm just going to get better at it, but hopefully what I share today is going to resonate. When it comes to energy, it's important to understand that everything is energy. Everything is energy and vibration. And I believe it was Nikola Tesla who said this, and I'm going to quote this very imperfectly, which is, he said, it's something around that reality is going to shift for you once you start thinking in vibration. And when we look, for example, at an atom, which is the founding block as far as humanity knows, it is the founding block upon which anything that's material in existence in this 3D physical realm is made out of. And you look at an atom, it is 99.9999979% energy. And the 0.00000001% is particle mass. And so when we look at physical stuff, this mic, my face, this stand, this chair, anything that is physical. This is 99.99999, the 7 9% energy. And only a very, very, very small fractile of particle. So what makes you think that as we're going about our everyday life and we're focusing our attention on particle and mass and what our eyes can see, what we can touch, hear, feel, and see in the physical realm, what makes you think that there aren't other factors that are actually influencing that reality? And it starts to make sense when you start to read books such as the one by Napoleon Hill. God, I've read this book so many times, and now the title is escaping me. Think and Grow Rich. When you're studying, for example, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and there's many great thought leaders who have talked about this, The Secret. There's a lot of literature out there. There's a lot of resources that are consistently drilling this in, which is that our reality is deeply influenced and dictated by our thoughts and our emotions. And when we marry a thought with emotion, what comes out of that is a specific electromagnetic field that starts to directly affect and influence the atoms around you, which start to vibrate at a similar frequency as that electromagnetic field that's being shaped by your thoughts and your emotions. And when those atoms starts to vibrate at that frequency that is in resonance with your thoughts and emotions, then mass starts to change. Things start to shift around you, and matter starts to reassemble itself to actually become a reflection of that electromagnetic field. And so I don't want to get too deeply into the science bit, because I don't want to lose you here. If this is something you're not particularly interested in, we can definitely geek out about it sometime, because this is my jam. But again, just to put it really simply, we have this power with our thoughts and our emotions to shape reality and to shape what we are experiencing in the external world. And so it does very much start any change, anything that you want to see in this planet. It really starts with who you are inside, and it starts with what your internal landscape is. Essentially what your internal landscape is going to be reflected into your external reality. And the way that it's explained a lot of times is a very woo-woo. There's many, many different ways to explain this, both on a with more scientific language, with more spiritual, etheric language. There's thousands of ways to say the same thing, and I suppose that this is my way of saying this thing. And that is when we're looking at energy, that's what really needs to be considered, is the amount of energy that is actually influencing our reality. And so when we're looking at our business, when we're looking at our team members, when we're looking at a certain offer, a certain product, when we're looking at our bank accounts, when we're looking at the clothes that we're wearing, and we're looking at the events that are happening in our life, the people that we're interfacing with, what would it look like to start thinking in terms of energetics and in terms of vibration, and to start to understand that the way that you engage with your energy and with your vibrational state is going to impact the actions that you take, then will then create something physical into reality. So going deeper on that is, let's say, for example, that you have a business. And a business, by its nature, if you're an entrepreneur and you're the CEO, founder of this business, you are the creator, this business was born out of you. And if that's the case, or maybe you also co-created it with someone else, but again, your soul essence is still inside of this business. This business came through your soul essence. So that means that there is a part of you in this entity that we're now going to call a business. This business is connected to you energetically. And so if you have limiting belief systems, if you have if you're not able to manage your emotional body, if you are in distortion, or you have a certain conditioning in your own life and in your own way of behaving and acting and showing up in the world, that will inevitably translate into your business model. It will translate into how you show up in your business. So to give you an example, for example, with people that I would work with. So a big limiting belief system, for example, is that money is really hard to come by. And so it might be that you came from a background and you had a certain socioeconomic upbringing where you were modeled since you were a young child that money was something that was difficult to earn. And not only that, that for you to be able to be worthy of it, you had to work really, really hard. Maybe you had a parent who was busting their butt 60 hours, 80 hours a week to just hardly make a living. And they were really proud of their work. And they were always talk to you about how you need to work hard to make a living. And so that belief system got installed in you. So when you, as a business owner, start to, and by the way, how does this have to do with energy? Is that in that moment when that belief system was installed, you are a malleable, young child. And let's say that you have a belief system, which is a thought pattern that your, parent has subscribed to. So now there's a thought that is getting transferred to you. So this thought is being given to you, which is unseen, it's energy. This thought, this electricity that's coming from your parents' electromagnetic field into your electromagnetic field. And there's an emotion that gets paired with it, which is perhaps you feeling sad for your parent, or you're feeling scared about your finances, or whether you're going to have a home, or you're watching your parents struggle and you're feeling fearful. You're feeling there's an emotion that is the magnetism, and that emotion gets married with the thought, and now you have an electromagnetic, field of money is hard to come by that has now transferred into your energy field, and it is stuck there until you decide to dig in and unstick it, or resolve it, clean it up, dissolve it out of your system. And so that is a way that then as you grow up and you start to be, you're operating from this frequency that money's hard to come by, and you have this electromagnetic, blueprint that is in your energy field. And so as you're now going about your everyday life, you are going to continue to perpetuate situations and events that reinforce that reality. And so the thought pattern that says it's really hard to come by is going to have you be subconsciously attracted to people who expect you to work really hard for very little pay, to situations like, kind of jobs that are structured for you to do that. You're gonna be subconsciously magnetized and attracted by things that are vibrating at a similar frequency as this belief system that we're gonna call in today, just for the sake of language, we're gonna call it a limiting belief system. And so now you're saying, okay, I'm working really, really hard in this job. Screw this job. I can't do it anymore. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And you start a business. However, the belief system that is in your energy field has not been resolved. You have not gone in, released the emotion that's keeping it anchored in, and resolved it through your system. And because of that, now you're going to continue to perpetuate this reality, but now it's going to be in a brand new place, which is your business. And so as you hire people, you'll start to hire people that are also like really expecting to work really hard, perhaps. And then they're fatigued and they're resentful, and basically now they're working really hard on your business, and they're fatigued and they're exhausted, and it's bringing down the vibration of your business. Or you might find the opposite is true, where you hire people that aren't doing the work. They are expecting all this pay. They're not actually doing what they promised, and it again perpetuates and aggravates the limiting belief system that, okay, now you need to go in and work really hard, and now you need to go in and pull their weight so that you can barely make ends meet. And so this is just one of many examples, because I find there's so many belief systems, but the big one that really gets business owners are the belief systems that they have around money. It's the belief systems that they have around being worthy of being supported, which translates into a lot of team issues and not having like the right team to hold you up, which then requires you to need to do everything and be everything for everyone. There are, a million and one belief systems that can be nominated right now for how we get in our own way as business owners. But what's important to understand here is that when we're talking about business energetics, this is, it's a multi-layered topic, but this is one of the things that I believe really needs to be spoken about, which is the way that our belief systems and our emotions are so deeply affecting our results in business in a way that people search and search and search and search for the right strategies, and they can't seem to fix the problem because the actual problem isn't being resolved at its root. And so to give you another example is if you are trying to get more visibility in your business and you are now, trying so hard to hire a public relations agency to pitch you to podcasts, or now you're trying Facebook ads and you're putting all this money in Facebook ads trying to get people to see you. And so now you're engaging all of these what could be smart strategies. You hear about your friend who's breaking even on Facebook ads, and now he's making all of this money because, he's getting free leads and the Facebook ads are growing his accounts by the thousands, and you're hearing these amazing stories. Or you hear about your other friend who got featured in all of these publications thanks to this PR agency, or this other person that hacked the algorithm and where it was able to grow their audience by the tens of thousands, or the newest real trend, or whatever that external superficial strategy is. And so you're hearing about all of these external strategies that look like, I'm going to put money into this Facebook account and out pops an ad and then I get results, or I'm going to pay this agency and they're going to email X amount of people and then I'm going to get pitched. And so you're putting all these like tangible resources into trying to get an external goal met, whether it looks like for business owners, income, visibility, helping people, impact. And so you're putting all of these resources onto into these strategies. And then many people, what they'll experience is this intense frustration because they're spending all this time, money, and energy on all of these strategies, and they're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling like you're doing too much, and it's not really working. It's not really working. And then you're like, oh my God, I put all this money on Facebook ads and it's not working. What's wrong with me, right? And then, or oh my gosh, I pitched to all these podcast agencies or all these podcast hosts and nobody answered my email. What's wrong with me? Or, oh my goodness, like I spent all these hours creating this course and nobody's like doing my course or paying attention to what I'm doing, and nobody wants to buy the thing I'm doing. Clearly this is bad. And so we get ourselves in this vicious cycle of, I'm going to extend my time, resources, and energy to try to apply it to this strategy and expect a certain kind of result. And when I don't get the result that I'm expecting, that this strategy is promising me, or the person selling the strategy is promising me, when I don't get that, then I am going to have an emotional reaction that looks like me shaming myself, being hard on myself, guilting myself, blaming myself or others. And then I'm going to drop that strategy and I'm going to try something new and hope that thing works. And that cycle is just freaking endless. And this is where, when clients come to me, and by the time a lot of people have come to me, they have tried so many things. They've spent thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure out all these strategies, working with all these mentors. It didn't work. And people come to me and they're freaking frustrated, rightfully so, because they've just extended all of this amount time, energy, and they're overworking themselves to the bone trying to figure out what works, and nothing's working. And this is a conversation that I've had to have with many people, and I'm sharing with you as well, is that you need to take a step back from the strategy and actually understand, why are you selecting the strategy in the first place? Because if you are coming from a space like just the Facebook ads example, where you feel like you feel within yourself that you're not seen, and you feel like you're not worthy of having a voice or of speaking your truth doesn't matter because of your own past conditioning, because of the way that you grew up and your consciousness was formulated in the society that you were in. And now you've come to a place where in the today moment, you have these limiting beliefs around not being enough, not being seen, your voice not mattering, what you have to say isn't important enough, or people are going to bully you, people are going to judge you, and you're carrying all these unresolved belief systems with you, then what you're going to do is you're going to turn around and through the lens of these limiting belief systems, you are going to choose to hire the person who's not going to see you. You're going to be an energetic match for someone who can't see you, because you're vibrating at the same it's the same vibration. It's a match. Their electromagnetic field is an absolute match to your electromagnetic field. Or what you're going to do is you're going to attract a situation where you're getting reaffirmed that you're not worth seeing. Or perhaps the situations, it's working, the thing is working really well, but you yourself cannot see beyond the lens of your own perception of reality. And so now you're going to be judging yourself and thinking something doesn't work, even though it actually is working. I'm going to give you an example, a personal example with this actually, which is that I remember, so I have a beautiful course that's called School of Story. And for School of Story, I recorded a really amazing masterclass, which I highly, highly recommend that you watch if you really want to learn how to stand out in a group of people that are doing similar work as you, and how can you really stand out in your industry and attract your ideal client? Like, how can you use your unique story and soul expression to magnetize the kind of business and you know, monetization and clientele that you desire? So I did a masterclass on that, and I remember, you know, working super hard on the masterclass, getting all the slides right, like recording it. It was a labor of love, and it was very intensive for me to get that masterclass recorded. And I put it up in, me and my team we were testing different platforms to use to promote this masterclass. And so we had one that was on my WordPress, and then we had another one that was on this service called Webinar Kit. And so we put something on Webinar Kit and we tested it out for a month or so. And we soon saw that the Webinar Kit one was performing way better than the embedded website. And so what I did is I decided to just go all in on promoting the Webinar Kit masterclass. And so it was like 6 months in, and month after month after month, I was seeing that my conversion rates were really, really low. And I remember every month when I would see how low my conversion rates were, I would think to myself, nobody cares about what I have to share. Nobody cares about my course. This doesn't matter. And why am I doing this? I would just be really hard on myself. And there came a point where I was having a conversation, I believe, with somebody who took the course. And, you know, it's interesting because even though I was being so hard on myself, the testimonials for this course were rolling in. I had students DMing me saying, this course changed my life. This course is amazing. I really love this course. And I remember being like, wait, but I designed this masterclass with so much love, so much care. And I'm doing, like, it feels like this has been done. This is a really good masterclass. Like, what is going on? Why aren't people resonating with this if they love the course? So there was a disconnect and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But it's important to understand that energetically in that phase of my business, I was going through a lot of stuff personally. And I was having a pretty low confidence like season of my life where I didn't feel like what I had to say mattered. I was starting, because I was going through a really deep transition in my work. I've gone through a really profound alchemy in the kind of service that I offer. I used to be more concentrated on brand story. I've expanded since then in the subconscious mind. And now I'm really working with leaders to support them in rewriting their belief system and their story and you know, creating more success in their life and business. So I was going through this really clunky transition in my own career and feeling self-conscious about myself, and just also feeling like, yeah, like, what if everything I've done up until this point actually doesn't matter? Now that I'm going through a career shift, then everything I've ever done clearly is junk, right? Like, it was this limiting belief system where I didn't trust myself to be able to transition from one career into a next step of my career. And there was a limiting belief system set up in my world where I thought wrongly that for me to transition my career to the next level, I had to throw out everything that I've done before, which was really scary, and also something that I didn't really want to do. And so it left me in this like in between space of just constantly fighting myself of, oh, but I don't want to like just toss everything I've done. It's pretty good, but if I want to like establish myself in a new sector of my industry, then I have to just get rid of this old thing, right? And so that conflict within myself, that energetic incoherence within myself was translating into my business. And one of the many ways that it was translating was me having this masterclass that wasn't performing. And so I decided, once I had this conversation with my student that said, no, your masterclass was amazing. I don't know what you're talking about. I actually loved a masterclass. It was so valuable. And I was inspired to buy your course as a result of that. So having the conversation with a student, I got curious and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to hire a funnel expert and I'm going to have an expert, like an outsider, come in, analyze this funnel and tell me what's wrong. And if I have to re-record this masterclass, then so be it. But let's figure out why this thing isn't converting. And so we are having this session with this funnel strategist and she's talking to me. She's already looked at the testimonials. She's like, okay, this is clearly a very high quality course. She watched the masterclass. She's like, this is a very high quality, well done masterclass. So I wonder what's going on. And so long story short, in less than 5 minutes, she logs into my webinar kit account. And at the time, I didn't have a team member monitoring my statistics, although now I've learned my lesson and I do. So there was no one like monitoring the data around this. And she looks at my thing and she's like, do you have CAPTCHA enabled in your webinar? And ReCAPTCHA, I forget what it's called, but when you log into something and they need you to write a code or to, there's like different pictures and it says, please pick the picture of a red motorbike and you need to pick the pictures to confirm you're not a bot. So she said, you have this enabled. And I said, no, I don't know what that is, or I don't know how to enable this. Why? And she says to me that you don't have this enabled. And as a result of you not having enabled it, about 75% of your current traffic is bots. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when the penny dropped. Because when we were calculating our conversion rates, we were calculating it based on 75% of the people who I thought were watching my masterclass and not buying or not caring about the product, they were actually robots. And so we sat there and in less than 5 minutes, my entire paradigm shifted because what she told me was that I actually have one of the highest converting masterclasses in the industry. And she said, your conversion rate is like ridiculously high. And for us to know that, for the numbers to be correct, we needed to essentially subtract 75% of the people who quote unquote watched my masterclass. And when we were left with the 25% who were actually humans who watched my masterclass and we ran the numbers of people who purchased the course, I realized that entire time I actually had a very high conversion rate. But for months at a time, I was telling myself that my masterclass wasn't interesting enough. I was telling myself that people didn't care about the course. I was basically replaying this old story that people didn't care about my product that I created prior to my career pivot because it was old or because it was a previous version of me, and therefore the thing I had created no longer held value because I was shifting in a new direction. And because that was the story that I set up, those were the energetics that I had created within my system. That was the external reality that was being mirrored back to me. But it took less than 5 minutes for that to shatter and for me to realize this is all a limiting belief system that I'm playing, and then my reality is getting reflected. And when I was willing to look at that and shift my belief systems and how I was actually engaging with my reality, I got this immediate feedback loop of, oh, wow, actually, I have a really great conversion rate. Why am I being hard on myself? Just because I'm not focused on brand story the way that I used to be a year ago doesn't mean my course isn't amazing, right? It's like I created this course as a labor of love. It's still transforming people through space and time. It's still extremely supportive for people who want to learn how to create a powerful brand story. And I have moved on to creating other products and other courses. And I don't have to keep binding myself to an old course, but that course can continue to change people's lives. And that looks like a funnel that gets set up, gets automated, and runs for me so it can liberate time and space for me to go ahead and create other projects and create more and build my business up in different directions. So that mindset shift completely changed everything. And when it comes to strategy, only when, because, I could have easily, in all those months that I felt like that I was having this energetic stuckness, let's say, and I could have easily spent all this money on Facebook ads. I could have hired all these people to promote my class, spent all this time trying to push this masterclass out to people with fewer little results, only to realize, when I realized that actually this was all about my perception of reality, only then was I able to, I hired the funnel strategist, I had my team implement a new funnel, and then I got somebody to run Facebook ads. And within a month, the Facebook ads were breaking even, and now we're at profit, and this course is selling itself. And so that's just one small business example of the ways that my business energetics were just coagulating everything in my business. That was one example that I gave, which is around the funnel. But there was other ways that this was manifesting. It was manifesting in my team, where I had half of my team that was like super aligned and the other half was not super aligned, which was just a mirror reflection of the split that I was feeling within myself. And then there was these moments, the same thing with clients. Like I would have these clients that would hire me for brand story. I would have half of my clients hire me for something completely different. And then feeling that split within myself, it just kept showing up in different areas of my life where I felt split. And because that was happening within me, it was getting mirrored out within externally in my business. And so that all said, there was no amount of strategy that could have possibly fixed the problem until I resolved the incongruence from within myself. And so when I say, and when I tell my clients, or when you've heard me speak on social media, that energetics is actually most of the work, and then strategy follows, I'm not saying, you need to sit around on your pillow all day and meditate and get into the frequency and raise your vibes and bypass your emotions or any of that stuff that I find so much in the spiritual community. But what I have discovered in my own practice and the work that I do with clients and in what I teach is that there is an art and there is a science to this. And once you start to understand the way that energy works, the way that frequency operates and affects our reality, and what it means to be vibrating at the frequency of the reality that you want to create. And when you start to really hone in on that, it becomes more graceful to run a business. It becomes smoother and clearer to understand which strategy you need to be selecting in order to have the maximum possible outcome. Because you can waste your time with a lot of strategies. You can waste your time doing a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, you can just do the inner work and get in your energy in coherence and in alignment. And when you do that, and then you turn towards, you look at 100 strategies, because you're aligned and coherent within yourself, you are going to know which strategy is the best possible strategy for you. It's an internal compass. It has nothing to do with what, the person, your competitor is doing that's working really well for them, or your friend tried this thing out and it worked fantastically for them. Because if it worked for them, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because their belief systems and the way that they interface with reality and the way that their conscious mind is organized and set up is going to be different from yours. It's going to be your unique blueprint, your own unique system. And so when you start to pay attention to what's going on to your internal world, to what belief systems are actually informing your reality, and also what emotions you are being informed by on a regular basis, when you start to actually master the power of your mind and manage your emotional state, what you're going to have is the clarity of turning into the external and being like, you know what? I'm not feeling Facebook ads right now. Or you know what? I've just interviewed 5 podcast agencies, and I have a really strong feeling that this agency is the one that's going to get me the most results, as opposed to, oh, hey, business coach, what do you think I should do? Right? Or, hey, someone outside of me, which agency do you think I should select? So instead of us outsourcing our power to external, people, organizations, or opinions, we get to come back in and internally source what the right decision is for us. Or if you're thinking about creating an offer, it's about using your internal compass to understand, this is the kind of service I want to create. This is the offer that I want to create. This is how I want to launch my next product program. This is how I don't want to do it. And with whatever decision you make, will have with it an existing strategy that you can try out. So if you say, okay, I want to put myself out there and I want to create videos and I want a lot of people to see them, great. So now you're internally clear on why you're doing that, what the greater purpose of this is, and what it is that you're looking to do. I would like to put videos out there that a lot of people are going to watch, and it's going to transform them and shift their perception of reality. Amazing. How can I amplify that? And that's the moment where you're like, oh, interesting. There's Facebook ads. There's, YouTube ads. There's SEO. Oh, look at that. There's PR. Look at all these strategies. Which one is right for me based on what I need right now, and that is a match for what I'm looking to create? So hopefully this is making sense. To recap on this energy piece then, it's what I've been trying to say is that when you are operating as a business owner and you would like to create a thriving, growing, profitable business that is in alignment to your soul purpose and that is in alignment to what you're actually here to be in service of. It's flowing smoothly. It's flowing gracefully. It is happening for you. It's not happening to you. It is extremely important for you to pay attention to what is happening in the energy field instead of just the particle, the mass. Instead of just looking at your bank account or just looking at this team member that is frustrating you, or just looking at this offer that isn't selling, or just looking at yet another strategy that some consultant has pitched you, can you take a step back and actually come back to your center, come back to your source, and ask yourself, okay, what is my soul calling me to do right now? What is in alignment to my soul in this moment? And what might be in alignment to your soul is, I want to launch this program that's going to help people do this thing. That feels in alignment to me. Okay, great. And the next question you want to ask yourself is, what are the belief systems that are running that may be making this difficult for me right now? What is in between me today now and the desired reality that I want, which could look like, for example, I launched this program, 30 people sign up at this price point, and it's thriving and it's successful. So between you and that, what are the core belief systems that you are engaging in that are basically creating a separation between you and the thing that you want? And so once you start to understand that your thought patterns are actually informing your reality, because again, your thoughts, they're waves. They're waves. And in this wave, this energy is now influencing matter. This 99.9999%, like your thoughts are part of that. And it's now when you think something, it's starting to influence your reality. And so if you can go back to that limiting belief system, identify it, and there might be multiple, to be honest, there might be multiple. So you look at these limiting belief systems and you identify them. And what you want to do is go to the core, the root of these limiting belief systems. And what the root looks like is your emotions. Because the perfect pairing to creating your reality is thought and emotion. A thought paired with an emotion is going to create an electromagnetic field that literally exists in your energy field, in your aura, that will then start to influence particle matter. And so these electromagnetic fields, you want to be very, very discerning about the electromagnetic field that you're putting out there, the one that you're consciously and unconsciously creating that is now informing your energy field, and your energy field is informing your reality. And so can you look at the limiting belief systems and then identify what are the emotions that might still be stuck through your body? What are the emotions that are essentially you're still replaying? And the famous culprits are shame, guilt, rage, grief. Those are the big ones that keep limiting belief systems anchored in. And when you start to understand, okay, here are the emotions that I'm playing into, then you need to go into those emotions through sound, breath, and movement, release the emotion and liberate that stuck energy from your system so that it can start to circulate again. Because when it's in contraction, it stays there. And again, you have, and this is, we're now going into trauma work, and this is something that I work extensively with my clients on, and there's other episodes that go more deeply into this, but just to summarize this is now you have these thought patterns that are getting anchored into your nervous system by these emotions that were never actually processed in real time, and you're creating these stuck, like think of it as like kinks in your energy field. And until you go back to those kinks and actually release the kink by emotionally processing that stuck emotion and rewriting the thought pattern, consciously choosing a more empowering thought pattern, you're just going to keep perpetuating the same old reality. And so when you are in that space of being in contraction and being, operating from an electromagnetic frequency, which is then sending out a signal to, vibrationally sending out a signal that this is what I'm a match for, then you're in a space where you're only going to attract the thing that you believe you're worthy of. You're only going to create the thing that you think you can create. But what if it's not what you think? What if there's something more out there for you? If you just release yourself, if you free yourself from your thought patterns and the emotional charge that's been keeping that stuck, and you release that energy so it can circulate again, and you let go of the thought, you let it go, and you call in a more empowering thought, what can happen to your reality then? It's really powerful. And that is what I mean by business energetics, is getting really clear on what is the energy that you are creating around your business, and not only getting really clear, but getting responsible for the reality that you are creating in your business in the energetic realm before you transfer it into the physical. What is the 99.9999% that you are creating in your business as a result of your thought patterns and your emotions that might be going unchecked, and then only amplifies if you have a business partner, if you have team members? All you're doing is amplifying the collective field of your thought patterns and emotions. And so what is the thought pattern and emotional field that you are cultivating in your company, aka company culture? And when you start to really get very discerning, very conscious about this, and really like start to set up some boundaries and some systems, and doing the internal work to really have squeaky clean energy in your business, what you're gonna find is this newfound clarity on how you can choose strategies that support and grow your business with less effort, with less hard work, and that's how things flow. Because now you don't have to sort through all of these strategies and make all of these mistakes and try out all these new things that are new in the market, that are new and trendy, and maybe something will stick. You don't have to go through that headache anymore. You can have a clear energy, and from that space, it will become clear to you what the aligned strategy is. And then you pluck the strategy, you run it through your alignment, and the strategy is most likely going to work out very well because it is in alignment and it is being supported by a belief system that is operating at a higher frequency, which means that if you're choosing a strategy knowing in your heart it's going to work out, you're like, yeah, this strategy is going to work out. I'm feeling really confident about it. Whatever happens, it's for me. Whatever happens is happening for my business. You start operating from that space, that strategy is going to work out. That strategy is going to work. And so I do stand by the belief that when it comes to success and growth in business, most of it happens energetically. Most of it happens within yourself as the business owner. Most of it happens within what it is that you're looking to create. And then you translate that clarity into systems that run your business. That's when you create a project management system that is reflected in the belief system that you are supported. Everything's happening for you. Things get to be smooth. Things get to be easy, as opposed to building something from a belief system that you're not supported, that things need to be hard, and that you're not going to be compensated well for it. So you build that, you're just going to create a machine that reflects that back to you. But you decide to build things from an empowering space, and you are going to choose strategies and build a system and build structure in your business that is going to support the energetics of that business, which are vibrating at a very high level of I am worthy, I get to have a profitable, beautiful, thriving business that is aligned to my soul's calling. That is what I'm available for. That's what I get to have. And that is what you're going to be an energetic match for. And the people you're going to meet, the team members you're going to hire, the clients that come into your world, the situations, even if they're unpleasant, that you are being met with in your life are going to simply reflect back to you your own greatness and you being in your soul service and the next step you need to take in your soul service. So that's what I want to share. Pay attention to energy. Do the inner work and pay attention to the energetics of your business. If you're finding yourself being super stressed out about strategy stuff and like logistics right now and you're overwhelmed and you're overworked, I would invite you to take a step back and really start to consider the ways that you are perpetuating and creating that reality unconsciously. Take a look at it. It's worth looking at. And I promise you, I have seen this. I have done this on myself again and again. I've seen it with the clients that I work with. I promise you that if you start to really look at the unseen, what you're not seeing, what is intangible, but you're still playing out in your reality, and you start resolving that through your nervous system, things are going to change, and your clarity of what actions to take is going to come online. So all that being said, for those of you who are interested in building a thriving, profitable, online, soul-aligned business, I actually have something really exciting to share, which is I have created a program for that. And I've actually created a group program, which is called Business by Soul, which walks you how to build that thriving, aligned, and profitable business that is in alignment to your soul. It's coming from a space of love. And not only that, it's very prosperous and it's in service. So it's going to be helping a lot of people. So for those of you who are really looking to either create or build on your business and to have it be aligned in that way to your soul's destiny, this is a group program that you're going to want to look into. And what we've done is we've opened up a waiting list. You can actually find the link to this in the show notes. And in this group program, I'm going to be walking you through what it actually looks like to build a soul-aligned business, what it looks like to ensure that this soul-aligned business is also profitable, that it is energetically clear, strong, and foundationally stable. And not only that, that strategically is going to create the income, the influence, the impact that you desire to have in your business as you're walking this path. So if that's something you're interested in, please make sure to check out the link, and maybe I'll see you in there. I would love to support you in that way. And if there's any ideas, anything I've shared in today's episode that you're really loving, make sure you screenshot this and post it on your social media. Tag me at Celine DaCosta and let me know what you loved. So thank you for tuning into today's episode, and I will see you next time.
Thank you, beautiful humans, for tuning in to today's episode of It's Not What You Think. If you loved what you received today, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, as it helps us reach even more amazing listeners like you. If we aren't already connected on social media, come receive even more tips and inspiration by following me on Instagram at Celine DaCosta or visiting my website at CelineDaCosta.com. After listening to this episode, I invite you to take a few moments to reflect. What stood out to you? What were your key takeaways or breakthroughs? And if there was one action step you could take from this, what would it be? Thank you again for joining me on this journey. I'm sending you so much love, and I can't wait to connect in the next episode. Until then, keep sharing your unique gifts and living out your most magical life.